Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited. I'm Nicola Barito. Let's take a look at the headlines. A memorandum of agreement is signed between the Ministry of Science, Technology and Tertiary Education and the Transport Ministry to have an aviation academy in this country. Trade and Industry Minister calls on regional partners to take full advantage of the economic opportunities before them. Minister of Gender, Youth and Child Development says gender policy will assist in addressing gender-based issues in this country. And in sport, Defence Force defeat Caledonia AIA in the final of the Pro Bowl. Thank you for joining us to our top story. No longer will students pursuing studies in aviation have to travel to other islands to study. This as a memorandum of agreement is signed between the Ministry of Science, Technology and Tertiary Education and the Transport Ministry to have an aviation academy in this country. Verna Barth has the story.
We hope with this training available locally that our nationals will no longer have to travel outside but find the required training here at home. It is particularly significant as the entities that come under the purview of the Ministry of Transport, CAL, National Helicopters, Trinidad and Tobago Civil Aviation Authority expand their mandates as they relate to safe, reliable and efficient aviation services to the industry and general public. All factors that are critical to the aviation industry. These entities are not only merely concerned about their own particular industry. CAL isn't only looking at flying from here to there on national helicopters, but what we are doing is providing meaningful national development by partnering with entities such as the Ministry of Science, Technology and Tertiary Education with programs such as this.
Transport Minister Senator the Honorable Devant Maharaj announcing the good news for aviation students and those aspiring to enter the field. This as a memorandum of agreement was signed between the Ministry of Transport and the Science, Technology and Tertiary Education Ministry for students to be able to attain training in aviation in this country. The Transport Minister was speaking at the Caribbean Airlines hangar where the signing took place. He says the collaborative effort is in line with the government's aim to achieve its national objective of providing service to the people.
We give life to that idea of partnering at a deeper level, at a level of inter-ministerial support. And we are very fortunate to have persons such as Minister Karim at the helm of this ministry that has the ability to see synergies between different ministries. It is the desire of the government to develop and deliver nationally and internationally accredited training programs to local and foreign aviation industry.
Science, Technology and Tertiary Education Minister Senator the Honorable Fazal Karim is commending Caribbean Airlines for maintaining the confidence of many passengers. He says he is indeed very proud of the airline and its achievements, even in the very early days of BWIA.
This is building the capacity of our nationals of Trinidad and Tobago. As air travelers, we routinely place our faith in the hands of those learned and experienced professionals, whose jobs are as crucial and as fundamental to our well-being as that of any skilled surgeon. So that what is happening here today is that we are recognizing but placing great emphasis on those nationals and those experienced professionals in whose hands we place our future and our lives. I can tell you, as a citizen of this country, and having flown on many airlines and aircrafts abroad, at any time I step onto a BWIA or a Caribbean Airlines, I feel very safe and I feel as though I'm home. And therefore, that says something about the quality of service.
Minister Karim is revealing that maintenance amounts to some 9 to 13% of the commercial airline's operating cost. He's also outlining a main ambition of the airline.
One of the challenges facing commercial airlines today is achieving maximum availability of aircraft for revenue service at minimal maintenance cost.
Minister Karim is also commending the pilots and engineers of CAL, noting that they are in demand throughout various parts of the world. Verna Barth, News 4.
As government looks to develop strategic linkages and build stronger business ties, Trade and Industry Minister, the Honorable Stephen Cadiz, is calling on regional partners to join in taking full advantage of the economic opportunities before them. The minister, speaking at the launch of the Trade and Investment Convention, noted that it was trade shows such as these that opened up the doors for such ties to be established. Kimberly Ramkalawan has more.
Trade and Industry Minister Stephen Cadiz says Trinidad and Tobago holds the potential to be a trade and investment hub for the Caribbean region. His statement came during the launch of this year's Trade and Investment Convention. However, the minister noted that this can only be realized when regional partners unite and make full use of the benefits that currently exist. He assured businessmen that government continued to work alongside with them in pushing Trinidad and Tobago to the forefront of the global business markets.
Looking at every single opportunity to take advantage of whatever is out there to make Trinidad and Tobago a key player in the region. The fight is making ourselves more efficient, making ourselves more competitive, producing a far better product than anybody else at the right pricing, and that is where we're going to really and truly bring the fight to the world. So ladies and gentlemen, the Ministry of Trade and Industry, the entire cabinet of this country is fully supportive of the business community. We understand what business means in Trinidad and Tobago. We understand the issues of employment. We understand the issues of education.
Minister Cadiz added that his ministry was looking towards the removal of non-tariff barriers as it looked towards moving into new markets.
How do we break down these barriers? How do we get rid of all the policies that were established, 30 years ago, 50 years ago? I mean, Trinidad and Tobago is independent this year 50 years. And I'm pretty sure we have established policies that were determined 50 years ago that we're still trying to fit into today's business climate. And that can't be. And I think one of the areas that this government is really and truly looking at is how do we move all those barriers, all those non-tariff barriers to business.
The convention is said to hold a number of opportunities not only for local businessmen, but for government as well. And in order to achieve these goals, the minister outlined it was the aim of this administration to make full use of the several memoranda of understanding government has signed.
This country has signed, I do not know how many agreements, trade agreements, partial scope agreements. So many of those agreements previously would just sit on a shelf, nobody knowing how to take advantage of it. The Ministry of Trade and Industry, we now have a trade implementation unit staffed by professionals, okay, that will walk you through the system. You want to take advantage of the EPA, you're not too sure even CARICOM. After 38 years, and I have no shame in saying it, after 38 years, we're still trying to find our way in some areas in CARICOM. All right, we have our partial initial with Panama, going after Guatemala. You know, how do we take advantage? Where are the real opportunities with all these trade agreements?
This year's TIC saw more than 200 businesses from 30 countries visit these shores looking for business opportunities. So far, key initiatives have gotten a kickstart in the areas of foreign affairs, energy and information and communication technology development as a result of the convention. Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
News 4 will be back right after the break.
It's like no other place on earth. Paria Springs and rainforests that sing, and the blue seas and skies. But what makes Trinidad and Tobago really special is our people. Our fathers and mothers, sisters and brothers. We're aunts and uncles, neighbors and cousins, and we are officers of a new police service as well. A new service of the 21st century, the police service of tomorrow.
It's different from the old model, and what it is really is a deployment model. So it's how we deploy our resources, how we utilize our resources for their maximum effectiveness.
With new tools, new technology, new leadership, and a new sense of dedication and service to all our people. In the coming weeks, we'll air a series of half-hour specials to show you how we have been re-equipped with new computers, new communication systems, and new rapid response teams so we can respond with speed and precision.
Thank you for staying with us. 8 women will be chosen from local public tertiary education institutes for scholarships in the area of information and communication technologies. Public Administration Minister Carolyn C. Prasad-Bechan made the disclosure during the launch of the World Telecommunications and Information Society Day 2012. More from Kimberly Ramkalawan.
As government looks to bring about a gender balance in every sector in the country, it is ensuring that no area is left behind, including the information communication technology sector. This as government has announced plans to award 8 young women scholarships pursuing studies in the ICT field. Public Administration Minister Carolyn C. Prasad-Bechan revealed the plans during the launch of the World Telecommunications and Information Society Day 2012 initiative.
In keeping with this year's theme, TAT has agreed to provide bursaries to a total of 8 female students pursuing ICT-related undergraduate programs at the College of Science and Technology and Applied Arts of Trinidad and Tobago, COSTAT, the University of the West Indies, UWI, and the University of Trinidad and Tobago, UTT. Each bursary will be provided for a period of 2 years based on the academic performance of students who must be nationals of Trinidad and Tobago. The value of the bursaries will be $7,500 per student per year.
Chairman of the Telecommunications Authority of Trinidad and Tobago Board, Selby Wilson, highlighted that there was a need for a gender balance in the local ICT sector.
TAT's primary focus since becoming operational in 2004 is to develop the country's ICT sector in order to create wider access to technologies at affordable prices. In such a scenario, there will be the need for more professionals, including our women and girls, who we encourage to work towards finding an equal place with our men within the ICT sector.
Minister C. Prasad-Bechan noted that government was also looking at ways in making internet services cheaper and more accessible to all citizens as it looked to bridge the digital divide spanning across all generations.
TAT is also finalizing the IXP, and a permit will permit all internet traffic. This IXP will permit all internet traffic originating and ending locally to be routed within Trinidad and Tobago rather than being routed through the USA. This will help internet service providers to lower their cost, and we will ensure these reduced rates will be passed on to the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
The minister also outlined measures that will have this country move away from analog television towards digital in the near future. Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
Minister of Gender, Youth and Child Development, Senator the Honorable Verna St. Rose Graves, says the national gender policy will assist tremendously in addressing gender-based issues in this country. The minister was speaking at the National Policy on Gender and Development at the Cascadia Hotel, where she revealed astounding statistics on reports of sexual offenses in this country.
Minister of Gender, Youth and Child Development, Senator the Honorable Verna St. Rose Graves, says the national gender policy is a framework implemented by government to promote fairness and equality between both sexes to ensure their fullest development and potential is achieved in society. The minister is also highlighting what she describes as appalling statistics on the number of incidences of sexual offences for the year 2010.
We have an epidemic of gender-based violence. Women and girls experience domestic violence, incest, rape, and other forms of sexual violence and abuse. The figures are staggering. Homicides due to domestic violence are second only to gang murders. 940 reports of domestic violence were made to the police in 2010, 68.2% of which were for assault by beating. The high incidence of rape, including gang rape, is horrifying. In 2010, the police received 215 reports of rape, 22 reports of incest, 158 reports of grievous sexual assault, and 278 reports of sex with minor females. 14 to 16 years of age, and that has come from the Crime and Problem Analysis Branch of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. 278 reports of sex with minor females 14 to 16 years of age. These figures are but the tip of the iceberg, as many incidents of violence against women are not reported.
Minister St. Rose Graves says, however, that sexual abuse is not only unique to women, as many males usually fall prey to this type of abuse as well.
We are seeing cases in the newspapers of boys who are being sexually abused in their families and communities. A young boy took his own life, reportedly because he was being bullied in school based on people's perception of his sexuality. I am told by a member of my staff of a taxi driver in his early 30s who told her that he was being beaten by his girlfriend, who was better educated and earning a higher income than he was, but he was ashamed to talk about it or to report it to the police. It serves to remind us of the time when it was a shame for women to talk about their experience of domestic violence or of rape.
She adds that gender-based violence should not be tolerated, and as such, the national policy will come into play to address this issue.
Having a national gender policy will allow us to improve our legislation, implement measures to prevent gender-based violence, increase women's and men's understandings of their rights and responsibilities, put in place shelters for women and men, and heal the pain and suffering among victims, survivors, and perpetrators.
Veena Bharath, News 4.
Sport is next after the break. Stay with us.
Informing and educating the nation, especially the young ones, about water, how it's won and processed, and how it should be protected are just a few of our major responsibilities here at the Public Education Center. The enjoyable learning environment, cultivating conservation habits, developing healthy relationships, and giving our public an appreciation of the environment in which we produce water. WASA's PEC, the region's only public education center on water.
Adults aren't the only ones who beat up on kids. Sometimes kids beat up on kids.
Every child has the right to be protected from violence, abuse, and neglect.
Because I shouldn't be afraid to go to school or play with my friends.
Because no child should be hurt by adults or by other children.
Because safety is my right. Stop the bullying.
The third time was a charm for the Defence Force as they defeated Caledonia AIA in the final of the Pro Bowl. The Morval Laventille squad defeated the military men in two previous cup finals, including the decider for the prestigious FA Trophy. But this time it was all Army. Videographer Nicholson Paul and journalist Wayne Cunningham were at the Hasely Crawford Stadium, and here are the highlights.
It was Cup Final number 3 for Caledonia AIA and the Defence Force when the two met on Thursday night in the Digicel Pro Bowl final. This was the final match for the 2011-2012 TT Pro League season, and the Army was hungry for some silverware after national duties delayed their involvement in the league. AIA, on the other hand, had the most successful season in their history and will be seeking more, but on a regional level, as they left following the match for the Cayman Islands to participate in the Caribbean Football Union Club Championship. 27 minutes into the match, the prolific Richard Roy got the mission started for the Defence Force, turning on the defender and hitting well to make it 1-0. 6 minutes later, Caledonia got a chance to equalize after Abdullah Phillips was tripped up inside the penalty area by Devin Jordan, and referee Neil Brizan pointed to the spot. Penalty specialist Kareem Joseph lived up to his reputation and tied up the scores at 1. That did not stop Ross Russell's men from surging forward, and this season's top goal scorer, Richard Shaka Roy, made it 2-1 Defence Force on the stroke of half-time. Immediately following the resumption of play after the break, it was 3-1. Ross Russell Jr. easing the anxiety of his father and the coach. But Caledonia did not win 3 titles this season by rolling over and playing dead. Substitute Trevin Caesar making a match of it with this strike in the 68th minute. 3-2 the score. The absence of Caledonia's big central defenders Nurul Abdullah Muhammad and Radanfa Abubakar became quite noticeable in the 81st minute. Defence Force substitute Glenn Franklin beating everyone to reach the Kerry Joseph free kick first and put his team back into the driver's seat. Joan Baltazar put the icing on the cake for the Defence Force following another flowing move involving Shaka Roy. 5-2 in the 90th minute meant there was no way back for AIA. Roy and Ross Russell Jr. were the joint top scorers of the tournament, with Roy taking the MVP honours. The Chief of Defence Staff, Brigadier Kenrick Maharaj, joined his team in the celebration and took the trophy to headquarters. Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sports.
News 4 continues after the break.
Carjacking has become very prevalent in recent times. Certain makes of vehicles are more preferred targets for criminals. When approaching intersections or junctions, ensure that all doors are locked and windows are wound up if possible. Remember, crime prevention is everyone's business. A message from the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service.
Welcome back. Community Development Minister, the Honorable Nizam Bakhsh, says the new activity center at Kora will go a long way in improving the quality of life of residents. The initiative, he says, is one taken by the National Commission for Self-Help. Minister Bakhsh was speaking at the commissioning of the center at Kora, where MP4, the Area Finance Minister, the Honorable Winston Dukaran, and members of the National Self-Help Commission were present. Freda Bath has more.
The National Commission for Self-Help is continuing to play an integral role in impacting communities throughout the country. This from Community Development Minister Nizam Bakhsh, who was speaking at the commissioning of the Kora Activity Center. Minister Bakhsh says Kora residents will now be given an opportunity to better their livelihoods if they take advantage of the new facility.
This center can and will serve as a catalyst to achieving all the other concerns that were expressed during the visit 6 months ago, and as stated by your MP, Winston Dukaran. It will serve as a venue to mobilize efforts for the ecotourism and heritage village, so residents of Kora Valley will be able to earn an income from this area. It will be a place for youth to meet and realize their full potential. It will be a place where the Kora Valley Village Council and the Women's Empowerment Group will hold their monthly meetings. And of course, the Ministry of Community Development will provide you with some community education programs.
The minister is commending the National Self-Help Commission for its delivery to communities throughout the country. He says the state agency has served for numerous years in poverty eradication ventures and other effective initiatives throughout its existence. He is also announcing that the commission is celebrating 25 years as a state agency.
I must admit that they have exceeded my expectation. They have reached to the point where same-day relief is offered, especially in emergency cases. I extend full compliments and congratulations to them. The future of this activity center has been made possible by the National Commission for Self-Help Limited. This state enterprise, under the purview of the Ministry of Community Development, has been delivering solutions to communities like Cora for the past 25 years. Since 1987, Self-Help has built roads, bridges, and places of worship through collaborating with communities in Trinidad and Tobago. Their work has helped to lift entire communities out of poverty through the provision of material and technical expertise.
Minister Bakch says the National Self-Help Commission continues to evolve to meet changing times. He adds that the commission has been in collaboration with other ministries working towards improving the quality of life of citizens. Veena Bharath, News 4.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited. I'm Nicola Barito. Thank you for joining us.